Hey there. Thanks for watching this video that goes with the summit session, Red Hat Summit session that Laurent Domb, Mike Dahlgren, and me have done on May 2nd of 2017. The session ID was S102320, and the title was Button Push Deployments with Integrated Red Hat Management. So one of the things I wanted to show and what I talked about during that session was to deploy a bundle through the CloudForms self-service catalog. Now, a bundle is actually a catalog item that consists of other catalog items. So in this case, the bundle right here, a load-balanced WordPress cluster, consists of a CloudFormations item, which deploys 4 virtual machines on AWS. That is called Load Balanced Web Cluster. So basically it deploys 4 empty virtual machines, 2 Apache web servers and 1 MariaDB database server and an HA proxy server. And the second item, which is an Ansible Tower job, to deploy a WordPress cluster on top of those 4 empty virtual machines. So when I click the bundle item here, I get an order screen where I have to fill in a couple of items. I will call my stack, in this case, the combination of those 4 virtual machines is called a stack. I will call that video demo 77, whatever. I want it to remain in place. If it fails, we are going to assume it will not fail. We'll give it a 20-minute timeout, which is way too long, but we'll give it 20 minutes. And then you see here a couple of parameters. During the session at Red Hat Summit, I talked about how CloudForms can create a service dialog based on parameters in either a Heat template or a CloudFormations template or an Azure template. And this is exactly what you see here. In my CloudFormations template, I can show that in a second. I have 2 parameters, one for the key name for the SSH key. I don't know if you can see the mouse over any video later on, but it says name of an existing EC2 key pair to enable SSH access to the instances. So basically, this is my SSH key pair for AWS. And the second one is to pick an instance type, an instance size. Basically, in my case, we're going to use T2 small because it's only a demo after all. So what is going to happen is I'm going to click add to my shopping cart right there. So the item is now in my shopping cart as indicated by the little blue 1 over there. I can click that. You can get an overview of my shopping cart. It says bundle load balanced WordPress cluster, which is exactly what I want to order. And I'm going to click order. So after I've done that, you see that the shopping cart has now been successfully ordered. We're going to switch over to the CloudForms management interface. This was the self-service interface. We're going to switch over to the management interface. In a second. There we are. You can see here that if we take a look at the topmost item that has been ordered in the requests overview table, it is right now pending. And if we can click this specific item, this is the one I just ordered. We can see that because it's stack that is ordered right here is video demo 77. It was auto approved because it was only one Heat template. CloudFormations template that I wanted to deploy, which is auto approved automatically. And it is now running through the steps of my state machine. It's now at pre-4. If I reload this again, it is now checking whether the system is provisioned. So you can see the status of the individual steps of the state machine right here as last message. I can show the status of the deployment of this stack in AWS. We switch over to AWS real quick. You can see here that video demo 77 is now listed as create in progress. So if we click this, we can get a little bit more detailed information about this. You see that here I have 1 database, 2 web servers, and 1 HA proxy server that are currently create in progress. So if we give this a couple of seconds, they will probably all pop up green, and that means they're all started correctly. What will happen during this instantiation here of those EC2 instances is that they have a cloud config script passed to them. It's about 4 or 5 lines in length. I can paste the contents of that under the video on YouTube when we upload this. And it basically downloads the bootstrap.py script from the satellite server and runs it with a couple of parameters, and it registers these systems to the satellite system we already have running on AWS as well. Registering to satellite makes these servers, or basically configures these servers with Puppet. And Puppet is going to deploy a couple of packages on it, like NTP. It's going to configure the operating system, and there we are. They're create complete now, and they should start popping up in satellite in a couple of seconds. But first, we're going to switch over to CloudForms again to get a little bit more information on the service we have just deployed. You can go to the My Services tab right there. So click bundle, get a little bit of information. But if we click the CloudFormations requested item, catalog item, we can actually see the 4 virtual machines that I have deployed for this. Excuse me. For this demo, we can click one of those VMs. We can see every bit of information CloudForms has already detected about these virtual machines, things like the flavor. They're running in US East 1B. They're based on a certain VM template, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of information that you can see in CloudForms about these VMs. I'm going to go back real quick. So we can click through Orchestration Stack here as well. And that brings us to the information that CloudForms has already detected about the CloudFormation stack that I already showed you in AWS. One of the things that is interesting to see here is that there's an output, because in CloudFormation's templates or heat templates, you can also define an output, which in this case is the URL we need to go to later on to actually see the WordPress deployment in action. So let's switch over to satellite right now to see the deployment of those 4 virtual machines happening. Refresh this page. Shows us that 3 of those 4 virtual machines have already reported in for Puppet, so they have been deployed. And CloudForms is now in the background polling if those 4 virtual machines actually exist. And if they exist, it's polling whether they have already reported in. So if they have reported in, Puppet has been deployed. And if they have reported in and Puppet has been deployed, then they're basically done and ready for the next phase. This should not take that long anymore for the 4th. There it is, the 4th virtual machine has now reported in as well. It was the 2nd web server. So they have now all ran their initial Puppet configuration. They have been deployed. Basically, the first part of the deployment has finished, which is the CloudFormations part. And that means that CloudForms will now, let's switch over to CloudForms real quick again. CloudForms will now pass over control of the deployment to Ansible Tower, the second part of this catalog bundle, so the second catalog item in the bundle, that will trigger the Ansible Tower run, and that will actually deploy WordPress. So let's switch over to Ansible Tower right now. We might have to wait a little bit because the initialization of a catalog item takes about a minute or so. So it takes a little while for Ansible Tower to start doing its magic. So let's wait a bit. We will automatically see this interface refreshing, and the playbook run for the load balanced WordPress deployments should start any second. And there we are. So you actually see that 2 jobs have started. One is the inventory sync, because the first thing that needs to be done is Ansible Tower needs to pull all the information out of Satellite 6. Because Ansible Tower needs to know what host groups, my playbook needs to know what host groups each system is in. Because the host group membership determines what parts of the playbook are run on each server. So basically, that means that if a host is a member of the Apache host group in Satellite, the Apache parts of the playbook will run on that server. If a server is a member of the MariaDB host group in Satellite, the database parts of the playbook will run on that server. So Satellite has done the inventory sync. We can see that all of my VMs have been detected. Their host group membership has been detected. And what is now running in the background is the load balanced WordPress deployment on top of those 4 virtual machines. As you can see right now, MySQL has been deployed on my database server. It has been running for about a minute. And one thing I want to point out here is this limit keyword. that has the 4 instances listed. So what has happened in the background, there was a little bit of customization I did for this demo, is I stored the names of the 4 virtual machines that were created in the first catalog item. So basically the CloudFormations deployment of those virtual machines. I stored those names in variable. And in the catalog item that runs the Ansible Tower job, I read out that variable and passed the contents of that variable to this limit keyword that basically says you can only run this playbook on those 4 virtual machines, because I don't want to deploy WordPress on all of the machines that are known to satellite, only those 4 listed as limit. Now, this required a little bit of customization in CloudForms. It was actually fairly simple to do. Basically, I picked up the names of those 4 virtual machines, put them in a variable during the run of the first catalog item, and then in a script that reaches out to Ansible Tower that is already in CloudForms. It's a default script that is used to reach out to Ansible Tower. I took those 4 virtual machine names out of the variable and passed them to Tower. It was actually really simple to do. I will create a video about that at another time. So what we can see now is that the status of this job is listed as successful. A lot of things happened. 171 tasks have been run on 4 different hosts in 2 minutes and 23 seconds. All of those 4 virtual machines have a lot of things that were changed on them, a lot of things that were okay as well. What should happen now is that if I go to CloudForms, I'll switch over to that tab. So I've switched over to CloudForms. I can go to the Clouds Stack page I've showed you before. There's a video demo 77, Orchestration Stack, the same way as this is the same object that I showed you earlier in AWS, the same output that I showed you earlier. But now if I take this URL, I paste it into, actually need to select it. If I paste it into a new tab, I'll switch over to this tab as well. You can actually see that it starts WordPress. Now I understand you cannot see my URL bar in the video, but trust me, this is, I just copy pasted this and I'll just call this Summit Demo, my name. Yeah, copy this. Let's not index this through Google. I'll install WordPress and I'll be able to log into this. And that basically means that the whole deployment was fine. So I understand this was a fairly rapid run through of how this all works. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at maxim@redhat.com, maxim@redhat.com. I will create follow-up little videos about this on my own channel to explain a little bit more about customizing CloudForms state machines. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed Red Hat Summit as much as we did. And we'll be talking to you in the future. I'm 100% sure about that. Thanks for joining and see you later. Bye-bye, guys.